Do you ever miss the old modern internet? By old modern, I mean that period in the mid 2000s where dial up was starting to go away and more people had access to high speed internet. I was just a kid during this period, barely old enough to be using the internet myself, so it's hard to say if this is just me having a more jaded lens these days. Who knows? But it really does seem like that era of the internet was just a more hopeful time for ideas in cyberspace in general. And if anyone still uses the term cyberspace, by the way, please let me know. Sorry if this is a bit of a ramble. I don't really have a thesis statement here. These are just some feelings I've been stewing on recently that I wanted to get off my chest. I do have a script down here, so if you see me looking down, which I often will be, I apologize. Around that time, if you had an idea and just enough skill to make it happen, there was a real potential to find an audience in whatever niche you were in. And I think the current internet is killing niche. It's no one's fault, I think. It's just the natural progression of 4 or 5 websites becoming so humongous and all-encompassing, and the tens of thousands of once relevant websites that populated the internet in the early aughts being unable to keep up with dwindling user bases and less profitable ad spaces. What once might have been 10 niche forums you kept track of and might be recognized even as a community member in has become a subreddit or a Facebook group where any contribution you make is just added to the pile. And the addition of numbered metrics of success on virtually all of these platforms incentivizes many to focus on winning the points battle alone, rather than trying to engage in any sort of meaningful back and forth discussion. In this environment, the only things that float to the top of discussion are either the most numerically popular or the most controversial. This applies to more than just discussion, too. Smaller websites used to be wonderful spaces to keep track of and be exposed to something good in a niche you were a fan or a part of. Most of the gaming webcomics I used to follow came to me in the form of forums, where hyper-dedicated fans of something would talk about the thing that they were into. More than art, by the way. Technology forums also used to be more robust. On gaming webcomics, one of the ones that I used to follow was Looking for Group. It's a pretty good comic with a fun set of characters that did rather well for the creators for a long time. Same creators as Least I Could Do, by the way. That comic ran from 2006 until the current day. I did a meme video a day or two ago, depending on when this goes up, that used a video of theirs. I hadn't tuned into the comic in years. I got tired of the single-page updates in a lot of webcomics. That's totally a me issue. So imagine my surprise that this comic, which I hadn't really thought of in years, was going on indefinite hiatus mere days after I looked into it again. This saddened me. It really did sadden me. Not because I was upset that the comic was ending. I actually think a lot of artistic things would benefit from ending. Everything has to end eventually, and it's better to go out on your own terms. But it saddened me because this was just another sign to me that that era of the internet, as far as creativity and contribution goes, was beginning to die in earnest. That comic, what it is it wasn't universally appealing, right? It was a gaming webcomic poking fun at World of Warcraft, D&D, and other gaming and fantasy-related tropes. That's all well and good. And it was also an ongoing story. It mostly wouldn't work as something on Instagram feeds, most of the comics on which tell stories in only a few panels, and then that comic story is done. It might find success on something like Webtoon, but being drawn in traditional comic book structure doesn't lend greatly to that either. This wasn't much of a problem before everything had to be on a vertical phone screen, but now that's the format, that's the medium to be communicated with as far as getting your maximum potential audience. Some apps have tried making comics in that style work in an elegant way. Personally, I don't think any of them have succeeded. The broad point here, though, is that I think all of this could have been overcome in the modern age of the internet. if the comic was amazing. It's not. It's good. Solidly drawn, pretty funny, but not hilarious. Not breathtaking art. And the story is only good. I think in the current era of the internet, the only new successes that I see, and I'm not representative of everybody on the internet, the only new successes I see are those who start off amazing. On YouTube, rising YouTubers producing content consistent with the quality of those who have been using the platform since its inception. It's crazy. It's all algorithms, really. It's not often you're really going to get recommended something that's just okay, and it's not robust enough to really recommend smaller channels that might uniquely appeal to you. The old modern internet filled that gap, sure. Algorithms weren't as fine-tuned, you had to seek out what you wanted to see, and often this would lead you to running into something that you never otherwise would have realized to have existed. I don't really see much of a middle class in content creation these days. You're either nobody, or you're a rising star. Maybe that's just my feed, but maybe not. This creates an internet that is more stale. Algorithms are king, and the smart professionals worship them. I can't blame them. They're succeeding, and they are doing good work. I'm not going to name names here, but a lot of people seem to be doing a lot of the same things these days. Fine-tuning their work is leading to a homogenized perfection on the internet that is really, it would have been astounding back then, but it's just, it seems like it's just expected now for you to get started and be perfect. One thing that really got me thinking about this, and perhaps this is going to sound silly, I doubt anyone else saw this and got on this train of thought as far as the internet goes, is this animated short called The Acorn Princess. Right now it has just under 4 million views in 3 years of being live. No small feat, for sure. The creators should feel proud, and this is nothing negative against them at all. Like, even remotely. It's a very good, well-produced thing. I love them for it. It's a very good thing. This is solidly made by a team of animation students, right? And it's got good story and characters. And I'm convinced that if this thing came out in 2011, it would have done gangbusters. Just absolutely took over the internet for at least a few days, a week, however long internet time lasts. Even then, it wasn't that long. But today, if you're not Hell of a Boss, if you're not Lackadaisy, productions competing with Disney for quality 2D animation and plot, you may as well not exist. I never would have heard of The Acorn Princess were it not for a commenter of mine, Isabella, making me aware of it. I'm trying to be better at keeping an eye out for independent animators, supporting the occasional crowdfund, that kind of thing. But there's so many things. I can't possibly sort through it all and find things I think I'll love. I have to hope it finds me. And in the age of vanishing niche, that's becoming less and less likely, because I'm not the only one struggling to find the things that would uniquely appeal to me. I'm pretty sure others are as well, and it's affecting the ability of these people in that niche to keep contributing to it, because if there's not an audience, it's very difficult to continue justifying these really big productions. There's a lot of people who say, well, you should be doing it for yourself. That doesn't really apply if you're trying to put together legitimate, 10 people worked on this productions. It doesn't work. There needs to be a foundation for it, and that's disappearing in the modern internet. Like I said, this isn't really fully formed thoughts. Perhaps some of you have your own experiences you would like to give. I'd be curious to read them. These is just what's been plaguing my brain recently. I do hope, regardless, you have a beautiful day. And take care. Oh, do please, take care.